It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. That comes from the martial arts teaching tales. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener in a war. Garden, Azousto, Nosagoi Bakulo, teenagers, young people of the Hazara communities around the world, wherever you are, listening to the story being narrated to you on the Hazara Pioneers Library on Amanji at Mechidtv on the 4th of April. A garden is a place of relaxation, of reliance. The world is represented as a garden here. कि شما دنیا را یک باغ خیال کن هر کس میخواد از یک باغ بسازه انجوی کنه زبیت خوب خانه گاڑی ماڑی سب کتاب مگر از این گاردن تو بهتره که به حیثیت یک واریر باشی این بهتره که حالات امن امانه خیر خیریتیه در گاردن شته گل کشتنی فلانه دعوتای دوستای روز یافیت و امن امان خیر خیریتیه مگر در اینجا تو اگر در سپیریتی واریر ششته باشی بهتره از این که تو در حالت وار یک باغبان جور شنی که ما دنیا اخر بیلد کنم بیلدینگ های اخر بیلد کنم که ما اینوستمنت کنم اینج دنیا را آتیش گرفته تو میخوای یک بیلدینگ های اخر بال کنی. That is the meaning, the attitude. Two different attitudes. The people of the tangible ala qabra را پخته کن آره بیلدینگ ها را کتا کن و بنده خود دنیا را آتیش برد او برد خیره پروانه ما دامان خود بالنم. That is a reference also to the Hazara pioneer spirit, a cultural heritage. आपने सुन रखा होगा वशमो शिंदा बाशिन की मीरास फरहंगी दो रकम है मीरास मुमनाज पदारोज बकूल जिना कि मंदा दे मीरास दर तो फकत बिल्डिंग पुख्ताना मंदा दास्तान और स्टोरी व memory व character हम दजाए मंदा. The Hazara pioneers is such a character, sometimes larger than life. कि बाद as fall of the Hazara lands, the name of the Hazara rises again in Baluchistan, at that time near bordering the British India. That is the name we would like to remember as intangible cultural heritage. غیر قابل حس. Spirit شده میتونه، داستان شده میتونه، نام شده میتونه، character، خاصیت، طبیعت. جستن از وسوسه شیر و پلنگ آن همانست جستن. To be safe from the attacks of wild beasts is not a big deal. To be safe from the beasts of nature is not a big deal. مرد باید که ز چنگ غضب آید برون. این زی وحشی خیالشون باشه غضب که دنیا را غضب گرفته یه وقت دیوالا پول جورنن دیوال جورنن وریز و خیشت و سمیت کلو موجوده. خب دنیا را آتیش گرفته دنیا دا واره. You are a gardener سبیتا امید د صبحشته یا a warrior است که فقط امروز زنده ای. That is the warrior spirit. That comes from another treasure at our library is the martial teaching tales. Thus is the anthem at the Pioneers Library. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Haikido, Haikido no rozawar. Haikido, Haikido no rozawar. And after this beginning and introduction, let's go to chapter 4 of what war is happening in the Hazara lands against the Amir of Kabul. What is happening? Gathering clouds was the last chapter 3. This is chapter 4. The rules, the rulers of the council, the Hazara Council, sits in 1890s because the Amir of Kabul has sent a letter. They have to gather and plan and see what we're going to do about it. Because they have, as you know, the Hazaras, among the Hazaras, there has been a raid on the Afghans because of a raid on the Hazaras from before. So this is a feud going on all the time. A letter from the Amir of Kabul comes to the Hazara Amir and the Vizier and the rest of the people, and they sit together now. Another group of eager debaters, men this time, fit mates for the squat little women to whom the reader has already been introduced. جوڑا یم دختروی کی دا اول وريشم قصة كده مثل مزناوري مگر مرتي كوش تايم دفع. Short, broad, sturdy little people. In coarse, dust-colored woolen garments, a strip of the same material would round their legs from the ankle to the knee, serving as gaiters, and their bare feet encased in coarse, heavy boots. Such a chattering and gesticulating. Gesticulation. Pura gesture. 3 men sat apart and talked more quietly. One seldom spoke at all. He wore a discontented, tired sort of look, and at last he rose. Okay. I will tell you what it is. It is pretty clear that we all refuse to pay this tax. All this talking and wrangling has brought us thus far. مدام زي نتيجة رسدي ميانا يقوليشم رازين تاكس بدين خراج بدين دا أمير كابول ميدت. And it is equally clear that our refusing to do so means war. But it does not seem that anyone is asking himself the question, are we prepared for war? خو تاكس من نميديم تمام شو من نميديم كنا يديم خو جنگ مشا هم شو تيارين بالجنگ. Of course we are prepared for war. چكان استم تيار. A taller of the man who remained sitting answered. شتا بودا مجي دراز اوتورو چطوريني مو. How? Asked the other scornfully. As we have always been in the past centuries. از پیشم متیار بودیم عالم تیاری. But I will tell you things have changed. شما تغییر چرا نمفهمین؟ Change رو چکا نمفهمین؟ دستشم گیمی گرید گیم بازیش داری چرا نمفهمین شما؟ What was is past. What we have to look at or look to is what is. سيكن چیز دنیا تغییر کده. We have looked to it. ما دیدیم. There is what there has always been. همیشه اونمو قصه که پیش بودم زیاده. Knives, چاقو, swords, شمشیر, guns and men. What more do you want? تیارم دیگه. Ghulam Hussain, for it was he who had risen and now stood talking, answered with 2 words. Ghulam Hussain ke ista bud yiga ba shuru kada bud magar 2 kalam daram qachmo sirf 2 kalima. Discipline, money. Discipline, what of that? Were our forefathers drilled? And as to money, when men fight for their country and their religion, they want no pay. Discipline مو نه پدرایم کردن از پیش که مو بریم مشق کنیم و بیتر بریم آمادگی بگیریم. There we are back again. No, our forefathers were not drilled, but we have to look to the sort of men we are going to pit ourselves against. روی مکیه پس پشت ریلا کتو. The new Amir is not like the former rulers of Kabul, who met our flintlock guns with flintlock guns, our hill knives with hill knives, our homemade swords with homemade swords. Those days are all changed. Do you know what a Henry Martini rifle is? Those are the guns, good guns indeed, and good enough soldiers. Those Goras, the name given to British infantry soldiers, on a plain, but not good for our crags. I've seen them. Can't keep their heads under cover for a minute, and then are surprised when they get potted off. Do the qasarq da zimin nigana mitnaina. Cheese the Koistan ba ina jankana. But what's the good of talking of them? We are not going to fight with them. The shorter of them, the three men remarked. Perhaps not. But the men we are going to fight are Hellas, not Goras. Not the sword that cannot keep their head under cover, and are not used to crags. They are mountaineers like ourselves. And they have Henry Martini rifles. Do you think the Amir of Kabul has been idle these last 10 years? تفكرني أمير كابول دي داس عليه قرار أنت شتاديجا خنتما. He had made friends with the Farangis in Hindustan, and they have given him money, guns, and men. When I was in Kabul, said Ghulam Hussain, there were no less than 17 of these kafirs at work there. And they have made a town, I tell you, where every kind of gun and implement of war is made. A trained kafir for every department, and a royal sardar over all. I have seen it, so I know. You have seen it with your own eyes? Or is this mere hearsay? Questioned the other speaker. I have seen it, the Vizier said emphatically, and he walked away slowly with his head bent down. Is Ghulam Hussain turning traitor? The other asked of the third member of the little group, whom we should recognize as the chief Shirin's father. Ghulam Hussain? He's not a traitor, but he's full of forebodings. He believes that the days of the independence of the Hazaras are counted. What do you say? شما چی می‌فرمایید جناب میر صاحب؟ یه غلام حسین وزیر صاحب در نتیجه رسیده که ما باید روز خورشمار کنیم. I say that our men have more determination in the gristle of their ears than the Afghans have in their whole body. متجر كتوي كي مي قدر كده قدري پریگوش مایا ده افغان ده کلی بدن خونه داره. I say, let the Afghans attack our natural forts that the God of our Prophet has given us. Let them try their Henry Martinis on our mountains. Mont Kosar or Kiladre, Henry Martini's Helaki by a Koes Mormaidagna. What of guns? Ferengi made guns? Forsooth, relax, when we have God's own everlasting mountains on our back. Guns, indeed. And the old man laughed. I have a better weapon than guns to wield. You remember that I told you? And I have been active since then. I have stirred the people up. I have told them of this unholy alliance with the infidels, the enemies of God. The Ghazis are up in arms. And lo, be it spoken, many of the Afghans themselves are tired of this one-man rule. So to grift the martial law and a tyranny. And have promised to join, for I have proclaimed a jihad against this ally of the Ferengi. You have? Then all will be well. Who can stand against the Ghazi? Not even the Ferengi. I can see them as they lay dead in heaps. They fought hard, but what availed their rifles? Their bodies blocked the Jagdalik Valley, and the kites and vultures that collected there could be seen hovering over it for miles around for many a day. And their rifles, these boasted rifles, why, they lay there beside them. Useless. I know a man who has one. And you know him too. Gave his daughter for it. So they say, Amir Mardum, not a nice thing to do. But he had 4. And little enough to get them husbands with. I dare say he did right. Or right enough. He's married off 2 since then. And the rifle is a good one. I would give something for one myself. Your daughter? Asked the Sayyid sarcastically. Shireen? No, not Shireen. I have only one. And thank God, I can afford to keep her and give her a dowry, too, when I have seen the man worthy of her. Silence, shouted Ghulam Hussain, who had at that moment rejoined the group and stood among the dusky little figures as a soul in Israel. Silence, and listen to this letter which I have drafted to send to Kabul by such messengers as you may appoint. گروه قصید جور نینی خدر نوشتنی رینی سیا گوش کید. To your friend and neighbor, the great, the illustrious Amir of Afghanistan, we have received your letter and understand from its contents that the recent raids committed by our villagers upon yours are displeasing to you, and that you demand restitution. This would be just. درست میگن که چون که نفهم از دهات زمان افریا ولی دهات شما مملکه ده ولی افغانا دیگه شما گفتین که restitution يعني ربايت جواب شير بيدي داد مغيد suggest but had this not raid been undertaken to avenge similar losses inflicted on our people by yours, we therefore decline to make restitution. अगर मो द जवाब ना मौका दे ये खबरेज़ मो हमला शदत कि मो द जवाब हमला कदे अगर इतना मो بود मो बाज बिल्कुल येगो حق شما مشود که حق شما رو بیدی آلی خو مو حق گرفته خود ما گرفته. We also understand from your letter that you hate these unfriendly expeditions between two neighboring countries بين زيدو ملكي تجزا مشاي خوب چیزنیه which ought to be friendly and that you are willing to protect our villages from your subjects provided we are willing to pay you a tax for the support and maintenance of the soldiers and officials whom you employ to do this. و شما درست خوش ندارین که بین دو قوم بین دو ملت دو مردم دو کشور اینجی فساد باشه موم نمیخواه این چیز را و شما گفتین برای که این چیزا اداره شونه ترتیب داده شونه و نفریه اینجی در پایگاه باشه اسکرا مثلا برای زو شما گفتین که باید اینی تکس بدین خراج بدین پیسه بدین. In answer to this, we beg to say that we too hate these unseemly robberies and murders. و همچنین ما در خدمت شما گزارش کنیم که این چپاول حاکم باشه این دوزی حاکم باشه بلیدی حتی از ما بسیار خوش نداری چیز دارم that we too wish for peace امن ما میخوایی and that we hereby offer to keep our tribesmen in subjection مو اینا را در کنترل میگیری or if we fail اگر نتونستیم send any pillagers to you for punishment باز اون نفر گرفته زیده توسط پیش تو رینی که نه خود تو حسابش جور کردی should they infringe such new laws as we shall make regarding raids if you on your part will do the same by us there will be no need for taxes اگر مو طرف خور نگاه کنی شما طرف خور نگاه کنی چی ضرور tax we shall confer a mutual benefit یک فند جور منیم امریکم the one upon the other we trust that this proposition will meet with your approval امیدوار هستم که شما خوشم بایازی گپ and appeal to that sense of injustice and right for which you have already so great a name among the followers of the one true God and of his prophet. و در انصاف و قسط و عدالت کسی شما نام پیدا کردین در دین شریعت خدا. We are your sincere friends. دوستای مخلص شما می باشیم. Well-wishers and allies, etc., etc., etc. Has anyone any objection to make to that? يقول اعتراض يقول gap. Yes. We are neither his friends nor his well-wishers nor his allies. Cursed be his father, but padar azir nalachna. To his father's father. Padari padar shalalat. Said one little man, in no wise distinguished from the rest of the group, unless by an even greater ugliness, and more especially nodulated head. Let him first make us restitution. For all that his people have taken from ours, since he came to the throne. Cried another. از او وقتی که هم در پادشاهی کابل جور شده چقدر مردم از ما را حق ما را خورده. Let him rather pay us taxes. یک دنه دیگه سه میشه مگه که او باید مور تکس بدیه. Cursed be the father of his taxes. But padar his taxes is not. Who talks of taxing a free people? Mardumi azad ki velish tax da. The Sayyid had been sitting still, playing with some little lumps of dry clay, which he had broken off and was still arranging in a sort of pattern. But he looked up and said authoritatively, "Let that later stand. It is just and reasonable. And choose out 3 men who shall take it to Kabul, carrying with them sheep and goats and clothes, presents to the Amir. I nominate Ghulam Hussain as one who shall go." Who do you choose? Astara ma Ghulam Hussain boyra. Diga kim wara astara bishmo. You, Sayyid, you, called out several voices at once. As many jama mitra awaz amat Sayyid khud boro. No, I will not go. There is nothing to say to the Amir that is not in the letter. Diga cheez guftani nahi, har cheez guftani deshte matlab maine khat nevishta kadem. Yet stay. Yes, I will go. I may find something to say. Yes, I will go. It will suit me well. Khubak maborum. There was much discussion about the 3rd member. But he was at last appointed, and the little group broke up. It was not often that a Hazara council ended in so satisfactory a manner. بسیار کم میشه که یک هزار کانسل که بیشتر باز د خیر خیرت والچونه. این بسیار امیتر غیر قابل انتظار بوده. The business they had come to discuss had actually been got through. بریزو کار کم داد کار شد دیگه. A course of action been decided upon که چیز کار کردنی. And each member was waddling about, smiling and giggling, congratulating himself on the important part he had taken in the new plan of action. Only the 2 men who had guided them, or rather overruled them, did not congratulate themselves, but retired into the Vizier's house, and there remained deep in conversation, far into the night. With money, all could be managed, the Vizier said. We could bribe the men of his own household. نفریای خودی خانه امیر میخریم بایی پیسه میسه تیرنیم. By firing them with religious zeal, we shall be managed. All shall be managed. احساساتی مذهبی را که است بسیار زیاد قوی میتونیم استفاده کنیم بایی. I will prove that the ally of Christians is no Muslim. کسی قد فرنگی رفته باشه دیست داده باشه او کجا مسلمانه ها؟ تو بگی. I will prove that the ally of Christians is no Mohammedan and that his own subjects therefore own him no allegiance. His own bodyguard shall turn against him. هم محافظهش اگر نکشته. بازی دیش چه مگه؟ He knows the Quran. He will defeat you. I have myself heard him justify this alliance from the book. اهل کتاب هستن مگه؟ وی چورت رزده که ما چی رقم قدزی مردم رو بگم که خیره که فرنگیه مگر اهل کتاب خواسته. Which says, و کتاب چی مگه؟ There are of those who have received the scriptures. اونهایی که وحی بریزونا نازل شده. Upright people. مردمی که در راست هستند. They meditate on the signs of God in the night season and worship. همین اسپای شاو قدرت خدا را تماشا منن و فکر من رویزی این جیر چیه این چیری از این چوکا خلاص شد امرای افتاب این چرخمه. They meditate on the signs of God in the night season and worship. They believe in God and the last day. اونا ایمان به خدا دارن و روزی قیامت. And command that which is just امر به معروف منن and forbid that which is unjust. اونا از بدی رایت رو میگیره. And zealously strive to excel in good works. و هر کاری خوب رن دنبال کاری خوبه که من کاری خوبه چطور پیش ببرم. These are the righteous. اینا اهلی فهم و شعورن. بازی دیگه شما The prophet wrote that of the people of this day از حدیثای آخر زمان پیغمبر است که that remnant is long since dead. He rooted out these hateful Farangis, these kafirs who have rejected the one true God and despise his prophet. What have we to do with such as these? يا حديث رام خو بگی نقصیشی كده يعني رقم این مردم يعني چیز کرد رای ظلم را استبداد را پاس کرد. If you think otherwise, you are out of Islam. The old man grew excited and his eyes seemed to flash fire, but the vizier was quite unmoved. اینا old man گفت از حدیث و از قرآن قبضت کی مفهمه وی ایگوار تیار کده اشته تو رنال کافر جور نکنه تو غال کافر جور کده که وقت کفار رفته قد فرنگی رفته اتحاد کده بهی مگر وزیر از جای شورنا مخرم تا ده فکر عمیق رفته. Your scheme is an excellent one, he said quietly. خوب برنامه جور کده. I'm only considering ما فقدیر مگم whether there is any chance of it succeeding. امی کامیاب موش امی پلان امی چالستو. The Amir has strange answers to such style of reasoning. तुम की बोरी पेश जो बयान करनी हो तो जवाब भी देख तो खुद हैरान बमने. He fears no man who is as hitch kas tarsa makhra. I have sometimes doubted whether he fears the higher powers still. किस खुद को कुछ चीज़ बुलंदा मुक़ाबल दरे आना. I know him better. He does fear. He fears men more than God. उस बंदे खुदा ज़्यादा मित्रसा. And he will soon have cause to fear him. उस बंदे खुदा बज़ू चरतर सब करो बज़ में करना. The Sayyid said, rising to prepare his bed for the night. Nosagoi Panier, dear teenagers, this was wherever you may be listening to this. تعلق شما قد هزاره بلوچستانه قد legacy Paniera, historical connection chi during and after the great game. Ki dastan background is he factually Azia, Peter Hopkirk, and this was also an introduction about another intangible cultural heritage. This is tangible, the book. Oh yeah, this is an important book, I must keep it. But what is in there is intangible. روح حضور تو باید خود تو از منیشی بندزی او را نوش جان کنی. Haikido. And I really would like you to meditate and ponder on this. Are you a warrior in a garden or a gardener in a war? Which one is better? Haikido Nawar Zawar. Till the next chapter. See you in a bit.